Hey everyone. So today's video is going to be based off a few reports that one of our viewers sent my way. I really want to take this time to thank Abby for always sending over reports and articles that the viewers may want to see. So I really appreciate the help, Abby. Today I want to talk about Tucson, Arizona, a place we're starting to get very familiar with because they're becoming more vocal about their tourism decline. But after watching these reports, it made me stop and realize and ask something important. Do they actually understand why they're in the slump? Because from what I'm seeing, I really don't think they do. And we're going to talk about that today. Today's backdrop comes from Nicholas, who sent in this photo from Petrolia, Ontario, taken sometime I think in the spring or summer. I'm guessing that's probably what it is because it might be buried in snow right now. But thank you for the photo, Nicholas. I have to admit, seeing photos from Canada in my inbox while I'm away, they all mean a little bit more to me now. This photo really shows how amazing our country is. Don't take it for granted, everyone. All right, let's get into our first report out of Arizona.
This past Small Business Saturday, it was supposed to be a big success. It does bring a lot of business to Tucson store owners, but in the past few months, they've really seen a slump in business at a time that they say is considered their busy season. That is why we check in with some of these local business owners with Alex Dowd now in studio. Alex, of course, we want our small businesses to succeed and to thrive, but that's not happening.
It doesn't seem like it, especially for a few different businesses that I spoke to. It's a pretty uncertain time for them since Americans are spending more on necessities like food, electricity, and gas than they were at this time last year. Business owners like James Goodrow says that that's trickling down to affect the profits of those local businesses here in Tucson.
Now I'm going to pause here for a minute because later this week, I'll be publishing an interview I did over the weekend with a Canadian snowbird who said he's done with the US. And when I say done, it means he moved out all of his investments, sold his home in Arizona, and gave me the full breakdown of how much he spent each year over a decade. I think it was about 13 years, maybe even more than that. I'm bringing this up now because we keep hearing these reports from the US media, but we really don't know the full effect of where this decline is coming from. We do know that tourists play a major role in any city that's now pleading for our money. I mean tourists. But this interview I have will show the real day-to-day spending of all the different industries that the snowbird contributed to. So the shop owner you're about to hear from, I'm pretty sure that snowbirds used to frequent his shop. Well, not so much anymore.
I feel like the small businesses in Tucson and the locally owned restaurants, we are part of what makes Tucson, Tucson.
And now, James Goodrow says those businesses need a little extra support. He opened vintage Mexican folk art store Arte de la Vida in Midtown 14 years ago.
Every year has been better than the last. Of course, COVID came along, and also we made it through the Broadway construction, which took years, and everything's been good until lately when business slowed down.
And what happened lately? This guy right here. He has contributed to the entire reason millions of shop owners in the US are suffering, except for the billionaires. Let's put tourism aside for a second, because we already know the impact that we're making here. This clown in the bottom right-hand corner is the real reason your business is declining. Let me explain the domino effect. Everything is more expensive now because of the tariffs. With everything more expensive, locals in the US are struggling to afford rent, gas, car payments, and even insurance. The disposable income of the average US citizen is pretty much gone. And I'm pretty sure most people would rather spend money on food instead of novelty items that your shop sells. So that's one half of the reason. The second half is this. You and many other businesses depended on money coming from outside of the country. And that has been hit hard because of the clown at the bottom right. So we, from the outside of the so-called greatest country in the world, can see exactly why US businesses are struggling. It's not rocket science.
First, he saw it in person. Fewer customers coming through the front door. Then, in their point-of-sale system.
I have numbers from every single day for the last 14 years. Year to date, we are down, as of today, 26%.
And as a result, James says they've had to let go of their 2 part-time employees and extend shop hours to 7 days a week, a first in Arte de la Vida's history.
With the current political situation, a lot of people don't know what's going on, so they're not buying. And if they do buy, they're not buying as much.
Well, I'm sure if there were no tariffs, and people were able to spend money on things without the tariff being baked into the price, you'd probably have a lot more customers. Anyways, it's just a thought. Did I say that right, Belle?
He says other business owners in the community have seen a similar trend. And a U.S. Commerce Department census shows that while retail sales increased in September, that rate of increase slowed from the summer months. So heading into the holiday shopping season, James says look around locally for your purchases.
It's not just about me. It's about small business in Tucson.
Now, one thing that James did do to encourage shoppers to come to Arte de la Vida was he's donating $5 to the food bank for every $39 that was spent at his store over the weekend. He says he's working with other local business owners to keep giving back to the community that supports them. And they're planning to continue with promotions like that in their stores this season.
I commend the shop owner for doing this and for donating some of his profits to the food bank. My rant isn't about him specifically. It's about all U.S. business owners who don't understand what's actually happening to them. Out of the hundreds of reports I've done, I think there's only a small handful that truly realize why their bottom line is gone. Or at least a handful aren't afraid to admit it on air. Now this next story relates to that stupid price increase in national parks. Who would have thought that increasing fees to tourists would actually be a bad thing? It's such a mystery.
Right now, anyone can buy one of these annual national park passes for $80. But starting in January, foreign tourists will have to pay 3 times as much or an extra $100 at every entrance gate. While local businesses surrounding these national parks tell us they're already dealing with a lack of foreign visitors. At hotels like the Red Feather Lodge in Tucson, international tourists make up a good portion of their customers.
25 to 35% were international travel.
25 to 35% of their visitors and revenue came from international travelers, like us. Now, the tourism industry is already in an uphill battle, because even before this stupid foreigner price increase, not many of us were going. But to tack that on top of it, good luck getting any of that 25 to 35% back. Now, it isn't their fault. They didn't make this stupid decision. But I don't expect international tourists to return for a very long time. Multiple things would need to happen in order for me to return, starting with Trump and his administration being gone, knowing that we wouldn't be hassled or be met with a rude CBP guard, remove the stupid fees for foreigners, and the whole ICE department needs to be gone. Even then, I'd still have to think about it.
Julie Aldis has been the general manager at the hotel for 15 years. She says with the government shutdown and international tourism already down, it's hurt her business.
We're about 15 to 18% down from last year.
But now businesses like hers are worried about losing more foreign visitors, as the yearly national park pass for non-citizens is jumping from $80 to $250.
Yeah, no, that's a big pass for me.
Or an additional $100 at entrance gates.
It's making us not look very international friendly.
The Park Service announced the fee increase last week, saying this is an America First policy. It follows an executive order from President Trump in July to increase foreign fees at national parks. The Grand Canyon gets 14% of its almost 5 million visitors from other countries, according to Visa.
The new slogan should actually be America First, America Only. Because this trend is only going to continue, at least for the next 3 years. But my gut tells me that even after Trump is gone, any tourist destination, whether Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, Florida, whatever, they're still going to be in an uphill battle.
I want my wife to see it for the first time.
Steve Homack was visiting the park with his wife. She's here legally on a visa, but is not yet a U.S. citizen, so he's not a fan of the change.
It's certainly going to discourage them from seeing the canyon, no doubt about it. I mean, there's better ways of spending that extra $100, and I'm sure the market here would appreciate it. So,
I never actually thought about this, and I was only so focused on foreigners like us. But even U.S. citizens who may have family who are not citizens, they're on the hook for the extra fee as well. Just another example of how all of this was not thought through.
Absolutely.
An increase like that's just beyond what needs to be.
Alda says she doesn't know what the answer is, but she hopes this won't push away needed tourists.
And I appreciate the American First movement, but at the same time, are we doing it to alienate other nationalities or international visitors that would want to come? So it's kind of scary.
Well, this is just my opinion, and you can agree or disagree with me. But the arrogant Trump U.S. administration put this in place thinking that we, the foreigners, would just gladly pay the increased fee to visit your amazing, greatest in the world national park. Lo and behold, it turns out that foreigners don't like being bullied, disrespected, detained, called the 51st state in Canada's case, and being stuck in an environment where we're surrounded by US exceptionalism. So I don't think it was originally done to alienate other nations, because the Trump administrations think they're the greatest power in the world. But in the end, their actions have alienated the US on all fronts, not just tourism, but trade, partnerships, and being a trusted partner. So no matter what the tourism officials or executives try to do to gain us back, it will fall on deaf ears. This is just my opinion. Let me know if you agree with my take on this. And if you do, hit the like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Now again, I bring up my interview that will be published later this week because the Canadian I spoke to did mention to me offline that he used to visit a lot of the tourism and state park attractions. He's done with all of it, and I'm sure thousands of other snowbirds are as well. I'm actually really excited to show everyone this interview later this week. Now, if you need another reason not to go to the US, this is what's happening to their own US citizens. I didn't show the whole video because I'll admit, it's a bit tough for me to watch. But just take a step back for a second and see what's happening. US citizens are now being detained for vague reasons, or maybe just due to profiling. These people aren't drug dealers. They're regular citizens and immigrants who are not criminals or gang members, and they're being detained anyways. This isn't the United States I remember and used to visit. I am thankful I'm a Canadian citizen, and despite Canada having its own issues, I will gladly take Canadian issues any day over this. 2025 for me is something that I will remember for the rest of my life, and I will never see the United States the same way again. It's sad for me to say that, but I am being transparent here. What will keep me away from the US, even if there is some sort of normalcy in the future, is the fact that the 77 million people voted for this and are still encouraging these actions. They are proud US citizens who are happy that ICE is doing this, even to their own fellow citizens. I would never want to put harm on any of my fellow Canadians, even the Maple MAGA supporters. It isn't in my values to see people hurt or abused. But seeing MAGA encourage ICE, threatening to call ICE on people, encouraging the hatred, the United States and the next door neighbor we once knew will never be the same. It saddens me that I don't even see Blaine or Bellingham, Washington the same way anymore. I spent a lot of time there, and I spent a lot of money in their economy, only to see that many US businesses and tourism officials never really cared about us. I'm sure many of you might feel the same about the US border towns that you used to visit. So for any Canadians that used to cross into a US border town, how do you feel about them now? Let us know in the comments below. To me, it's just disappointing. I know other channels will use words like furious or angry in their videos. I'm neither of those. It's just really disappointing to see a friend that you once thought was a good friend wasn't that good of a friend after all. Now, before anyone jumps on my comments I just made, I know we have friends and allies in the US, and many of you are watching this video right now. We even have friends like Josh from The Enemy From Within and Bella the Ranch who stick up for Canada. But there is also a large group of the US who think otherwise. So like I've said in previous videos, I support those who are fighting the regime, but I will always move forward with caution when it comes to the US. That's it for today's video. If you're still here, I appreciate you watching to the end. And I'm sad to say that my co-host actually slept through the whole video. Here's a photo I just took of her. And for the record, she's not fat, just fluffy. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.